Hello everyone, I'm honoured to have been given the opportunity to share this video with you today to talk about loneliness. My name is Jess. I am a trainee clinical psychologist at the University of Oxford. As part of my doctoral thesis, my research team and I have been running a study looking at the factors related to loneliness in people over the age of 80. I wanted to start today by talking about loneliness in general. Loneliness is complex. It is more than just being alone. For example, somebody can feel lonely in a crowd, whilst another may be content in isolation. It can be described as an emotional response to perceiving a difference between one's desired and actual social relationships. Two types of loneliness are suggested in the research: social and emotional. Social loneliness is about not having an acceptable social network, so who you see, whereas emotional loneliness relates to a lack of a significant attachment figure, like a spouse. We know that loneliness across different age groups is becoming increasingly recognised. As I'm sure we'll agree, loneliness is important to study because it can have detrimental effects to both mental and physical health, and it's a very hard feeling to feel. We know that loneliness is increasingly common in older age. Thinking about why this may be, we are an ageing population, and older age is associated with an increase in risk factors of loneliness. These include losing loved ones, shrinking of social networks as people age, and changes in marital status and physical health or living arrangements. There are different theories of loneliness and about why humans might experience it. But the cognitive theory of loneliness, which is what we're interested in, suggests that it's not just someone's situation that can lead them to feel lonely, but rather how they view or interpret their situation and their subsequent behavioural response to this. So in general, the model suggests that when a person perceives a difference between their desired and actual social relationships, this feeling of loneliness is experienced, and it's for self-preservation. It elicits the motivation for them to behave in ways to reconnect with others. So, like all emotions, even if unpleasant, it has a purpose. However, this model suggests that for some people, not everybody, but certain ways of thinking and acting can maintain loneliness. Some individuals may have certain biases or negative patterns in their way of thinking. For example, they are more likely to notice things in their environment linked to isolation or exclusion, like noticing an empty seat beside them. They're more likely to perceive social situations as negative, such as seeing a lack of a smile to mean that person's unfriendly rather than they didn't see me or they were busy. They're also more likely to recall negative social memories and then to expect future social interactions to be negative. So as a result, they perceive their social world to be more threatening, more punitive, and they might hold beliefs such as, my actions won't change loneliness, or others won't want me there. So this can have a significant impact on how that person then acts. Because of these beliefs, they might then respond in a way that accidentally elicits behaviours from others that confirms their expectations of social interactions. Let me give you an example. If a person believes that other people aren't really interested in them, they might stop smiling or not look at other people. In response to this, others cannot or don't feel inclined to smile back at them. And this might then confirm their view that other people are unfriendly. Or if a person believes that none of their own actions could change loneliness, they might then decline invitations from personal contacts or organisations to connect with others in whatever small way. As a result, others might stop calling them or stop suggesting ideas. So, in summary, the cognitive model of loneliness suggests that for some people, due to unhelpful biases in someone's ways of thinking, which then impacts their behaviour, individuals can find themselves in a self-fulfilling loop where it's harder for them to connect with others and they feel like passive victims in their social world. Of course, this is just one theory and it might not apply to everyone. But my study is looking to see if this is valid, and specifically looking at people over the age of 80, as there's not much research on this. So we're exploring to see if people who are lonely also show this tendency to interpret neutral social situations as negative, and if this association between loneliness and negative interpretation is present, does it have a stronger influence than other better known factors linked to loneliness? So of these factors, we're including depression, social anxiety, gender, living situation, marital status, size, diversity and quality of social network, and financial satisfaction. Of course, there are many other important factors that we could have included into understanding what might make someone lonely, such as past experiences, their employment, their hobbies, what they do at home. However, there was a limit to what we could include in our statistical analysis, so we picked the ones best documented in the research. We're also going to see if there's a difference in the results between emotional and social loneliness. So why is this important to study? The research examining the effectiveness of different loneliness interventions has found that the ones targeting these unhelpful beliefs are the most effective. However, more research is needed on this and on the other interventions. It's important to study because, as I've explained, these thoughts and beliefs can have a significant impact on somebody's behaviours linked to connection. So, the other interventions offered, such as befriending, may not be so effective for some people if these behaviours are at play. We don't know the findings yet, as we're still recruiting. We've collected data from 90 participants and need another 30. I will very happily share my findings with organisations such as this one. People seem to have enjoyed taking part, and a big thank you to anyone listening today who did take part. Whilst I don't have results, I have some final reflections that I thought might be helpful to share. I hadn't planned my study to occur during a pandemic, so this will be a snapshot of loneliness through a pandemic. We can all agree it's been an incredibly difficult time, with many things out of our control, even if we would like to see people more. I found some things that people said were helpful, so I thought I would share them. So some people have felt more able to carry out grandparent roles over the phone that they couldn't before or hadn't thought of, such as reading a book at bedtime. People have found keeping busy with hobbies definitely helped. Having a routine and planning little nice things in, however little, but to look forward to. Many have noticed that others are calling them more, and whilst this is nice, they found it hard to know what to talk about other than COVID, I can really relate to that. It's hard work. A lovely example of ways some people have found to connect with others is to watch or read something at the same time and then to talk about it either during, by text or telephone, or afterwards by telephone. Being on Zoom has definitely helped people feel more connected. Those who had difficulties with hearing or with technology found it harder. I'm sorry to hear that. But I've heard great things about volunteers helping people to use Zoom, which of course helps with lip reading. And personally, I was struck by the selflessness of many people I spoke to saying how they felt more sorry for other generations and others were finding it hard. Lastly, I focused, and my team focused on the age group of 80 years and above because they are important yet underrepresented in the research. Thinking about why this might be, I think this age group can be harder to recruit when recruitment focuses on online technology, which during the pandemic it had to. I wonder if sometimes also there's a barrier to taking part linked to thinking that others might prefer to speak to somebody younger or worry that they won't be able to manage what's required. But just to say, everybody who took part in my study reported to find it manageable, which I'm really pleased about. A very important point is it makes sense that people who are the most lonely, isolated and withdrawn and holding views such as people don't care about my views, nothing will change, they don't really want to talk to me, won't take forward to take part or won't have heard about my study. To help overcome these factors, I co-designed and co-created my study with a focus group of people in their 80s and 90s. I hope this would help it feel more relevant to this age group, as I'm sure this won't come as a surprise, I am not in my 80s. A final message to this age group and the people listening is that researchers and young people like myself are very much interested in hearing your views. And as my experience in this research has strongly emphasised, this age group holds such an important place in society and those voices should be shared and heard. I was so inspired listening to the stories and the views that people kindly shared with me and how many adversities and changes in the world you've experienced compared to my generation. I'm very grateful of everyone who took part, and it was a real pleasure to talk to so many people. If you wanted to be involved in more research, there's a great database called Oxdare. It allows people to register, it is online, but be sent invitations to take part in various research studies. Information gets sent to you about the study, and you can choose whether to accept or not. There's no pressure to take part, and your contact details aren't shared until you've accepted to take part. I hope this video has been interesting and helpful. I'd be very happy to send references to literature and signposts to organisations to contact to become more involved in research. Sending you my very best wishes, and thank you.